he's living in Har Nof, in Yerushalayim. So in a place where he lived before, in Israel, when you have a building, so you have someone who is in charge. There's really no board. There's one person who is in charge of the bills of the building, the electric, the cleaning. Everyone pays some kind of a fee to that person, and he takes care of the building, whatever needs to be done. And every once in a while, they elect someone, and he's in charge to decide to paint, not to paint. Okay. So there was one woman in charge in a building, and she was secular, and he lived in that building. So one time she decided to make a tenant meeting, to invite all the owners of the apartments to make a decision about something in a building that needs big money. So he sent his assistant, the one who was helping him. So he came instead of him to the meeting. So she said, "Who are you?" He said, "I came in the name of the Rav." The Rav is busy, he's a busy person, doesn't have time to waste an hour now, sit here in a committee here. So I came for him, whatever I decide is fine. So she said, "No, I'm very sorry, you're not one of the tenants in the building, the rabbi has to come." So he was begging her, "Leave him alone, he's a very busy person, he has lots of things on his mind, can I waste an hour here?" But she didn't care, she insisted I'll come. She didn't want to start until he'll come. So when he went down to him, he said, "Okay." He went up, and by the time he finished the meeting, he came down back to his apartment. She became paralyzed in her leg, this woman. That was a published story. She started to scream. She couldn't get up from the chair. And she started to say, "I know that I got punished for what I did to the rabbi," she said. And later, he forgave her, and then she became okay. She went back to, she had a temporary, mamash like this, clear miracle. But the biggest thing I heard was, after the Yom Kippur War, when there were so many widows who do not know now if they'll ever be able to get married, because their husbands are missing. Either they died, nobody knows what happened to them. So he was giving permissions to, based on testimonies of soldiers and what happened in a battle, he was giving to some of these ladies permission that they're able to get married. It's a huge risk, huge risk. If you give a woman a note with the stamp of the Jewish court, and you are the rabbis who allow her to go and get married. She was a married woman, and her husband disappeared. And nobody knows where he is. And he didn't give her a get. So now, there is a huge risk that a year or two later he'll show up. Maybe he was a prisoner, maybe they captured him something. Maybe the people who say they saw him died, maybe they made a mistake. It's very difficult. Even if you have witness, one witness, two witnesses, people say, "Oh, we saw him in a building, and the building exploded, a bomb fell, and the whole building smashed to pieces." So 99% he died, but maybe not. Maybe he became paralyzed, and 2 days later they found him. It's a big risk here. So there was one reporter in the Israeli secular newspaper, the woman, she wanted to get a scoop. So she came to him pretending she's one of these widows. After Yom Kippur, it was 40 years ago, so he was by then 52 years old. She came to him, and she said, "My husband, this, that." She set up the whole thing. She brought people, they claimed they saw her husband. Everything from the beginning to the end was a lie. And he gave her a note that she's able to get married, and her husband is alive working with her in a newspaper. And he just gave her a note in her hand. And she said, "That's it. That's the end of his career. As soon as I walk out of this door, I put it in the Israeli secular newspaper, he won't ever be able to be a rabbi for the rest of his life. It's finished." So she walked out of the door. There was no cellular phone. There was rotary phones, if you remember, in the old days. So she went to a payphone. She put some money in her payphone. She called up the office of the newspaper asking for her husband. So when she called, somebody picked up the phone, and she said, "Where is my husband?" And that person started to cry. He said, "A few minutes ago, we just were announced that he had a critical car accident and he died instantly." As soon as he gave her the note in her hand that she's permitted to get married, Hashem killed her husband. That the Chacham won't have this embarrassment. No joke here. And that was To the best of my knowledge, maybe the most famous miracle that I know. I mean, there are many, there's books about things that happened in his lifetime. But this is it. There are stories like this about Rav Moshe Feinstein also. That a woman came to her and she said, you gave me permission to get married. And he said, it cannot be. She said, here is your signature. He looks at his he says, it's not, it cannot be. I never, so later she admitted that it's all forged. So his assistant asked him, Rabbi, how do you know? You have hundreds of people coming to you every week and she comes after a few years. How did you know that it's not your signature? He told him, it cannot be that I give my life for the nation of Israel and Hashem will do such a thing to me. Why? He knew that he's 100% tzaddik, clean, perfect, pure, not for money, not for politics, just to serve the people for the sake of heaven. What's God's incentive? That people will lose their faith in a rabbinical authority? It would be a disaster. Disaster. Imagine Moshe Rabbeinu tell the nation of Israel, go, we have to go and do this and this and that, and they all get killed. Or thousands of them get killed, based on the instruction of Moshe. Who would follow him after that? Who can trust what he says? He comes to speak in the name of Hashem. He defeated his entire purpose.